It was one of the hardest parts about watching The Wire. But
I mean, yeah, it was more difficult being in it.
Yeah.
Every time I went to Baltimore, I went to culture shock. Every time.
Yeah.
So first time after getting this information from what's his name?
Yeah.
JD. He comes back around the corner and tells me this is what it actually. I guess he went around the corner and told somebody, "Oh, yo, Cavario just snatched me up and made me tell him what he said. Did you tell him?" I said, "Yeah, I told him, but I didn't really tell him the right name, whatever." They probably said, "You better go back around and tell him, bro."
But it sounds like you were really hot to get out of New York because you immediately saw the opportunity and bullied this guy for the info.
Right.
And you'd already been stabbed, which is a wild story that you'll read about in the book.
Right.
But it sounds like you were like ready to for New.
I was always like that. I was always, if I heard there was somewhere, I had no problem going there.
All right, gotcha.
Whether it was a block in the Bronx or Harlem, I had no problem going there. I went anywhere because I knew how to handle myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And while somebody else was trying to get it in their mind what they might or should do, I had reflexes.
Right.
So while you're trying to figure out what you should do next, I'm doing it by reflex.
Right.
You know? So I had already been to DC in '86. Didn't like the way that they got down. There was too much violence.
Right.
And just mindlessness. You know, there was a guy getting killed every day, you know, and it was ridiculous. It's like, how do you get money out here like this?
Right.
But there was something in particular that I saw that it made me be like, this place, I'm not on this place. And I'd been coming to DC since the 70s to visit my family. So I knew DC.
Right.
I walked into a building one late night in the winter in '86 when we got there. I was out there with a young man who was a school friend of my nephew's. His name was Dave. Dave was like, yo, you know, we out here, you know, getting this money, whatever, but, you know, supply is a problem, whatever, because they're nobody, right? So I said, well, let me see what you got going on. So I'm doing really well over there in the spot you saw about 149, right? 165th Walton Avenue. And I was like, you know, I'll take this little foray out there and see what's going on. So we go, and we, you know, moving around, and we go into this projects. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and it's like, you know, the lights, half the lights are out or whatever. And we walk up on the parking lot, and coming out of this dark doorway, I hear, "What you need? What you need, man? I got it. What you need? I got it for you." And I look, and it's a 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Gotta be 8. No more than 8.
Wow.
And he's got a slab in his hand. And I mean, little ass hand. It's a $50 slab. They didn't sell this in a bag or a bottle or nothing like that. It was like a naked slab of crack in his hand.
Jesus.
And I was like, who the gave this kid drugs to sell? Like, I'm ready to snap out.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, this really got me. And that, along with the mindless violence every damn day, I was like, man, this it ain't about no money, man.
Right.
It ain't about no money. This is stupid. And then I just went back to the Bronx. Yeah. Right? So here comes '89. This happens with JD. You know, at this point, between that first move and this move, there had been like some severe coke scares, droughts, right?
It's
like
wild.
Really, a $5 bottle. Next thing you know, I'm selling it for $7. Still is getting dry and dry. Now it's 10. Now it's 15, same bottle, because it's like it's harder and harder and harder to find something. It had this constantly happening,
right?
You know, and it was to keep the price from falling any further. Because what was in 80, 60,000 was now, you know, by 87,
8,000, 10,000,
13 on average.
Yeah,
right. And so it really, they were trying to stop it from plummeting. So every now and then they would just. And most of the connects were in Queens at this point. And they were the Colombians. And they were feeding the Dominicans in Washington Heights.
That's right.
Right? And so whenever they said, hold up, they would just hold up.
Yeah.
You know? And if you know it's coming, then you know how you got to behave because it's about to be very dry, whatever. And so whenever there was a big bust, you know, and they announce a big bust, you know, so many kilos get busted, whatever, and it was always the biggest bust ever. Every one was bigger than the previous one. That's
right.
Which told you something.
Yeah.
Right? And so whenever there was a big bust, they would be like, okay, in a couple of weeks it's going to dry up. And Butch would always tell me this. He would teach me how to read the newspaper and know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And so this was one of those periods where it was like, just really crazy. You know, we was rocking, but it was like, it's tight.
Yeah.
So we figured, you know, go to Baltimore, get more for the buck.
Yeah.
And so about 3-4 days later, we're standing out in front of my spot on 65th and Walton Avenue. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. And a guy whom I'd known from much earlier in life, whose father was a major guy, and he grew up a ghetto prince as well. But unlike me, he was not given insights into the game and all that, whatever. So he knew where it came from. He didn't know anything about the game. So his father gets busted, and he, you know, has to start around. First, you know, people looking out for him, whatever. But at a certain point, you get a certain age. It's like, yo, you know, do something.
Yeah.
So, but he don't know shit about shit. So, you know, he starts taking things, and he's not responding well to not being the kid who's like the center of attention, which is what kids like us were. We were the center of attention around our peer group, right? Because we had everything. So he's not doing well not being that. And, you know, I don't know whether he had some kind of pre-existing mental condition or what was, but it became apparent to me that his mind wasn't right. So he happens up. I hadn't seen him in some years at this point. And he happens up coming across the block. And I was like, yo, what's going on? Yo, seen you a long time. What's happening? Yeah. And he's looking disheveled and kind of dirty, whatever. I was like, come on, not you too, smoking that. He's like, no, man, I just got off a bus from Baltimore. You know, I was down there. I went down there with some guys. So guys had him going and getting packages from friends of his father's. And then they would dupe him out of the package because he wasn't built for it and his mind wasn't, you know, as strong as it needed to be. And so this happened. He went down to Baltimore. Some guys, get some work down to Baltimore. They get down there and they abandon. They take the work and abandon him. Yeah. So now he's stuck down there. No money, no means to get back. Right. So he meets a young woman who helps him out. You know, sees him. She's going to do the Baltimore's station, their equivalent to Grand Central, whatever. And he's out there, and she hears a story, gives him a couple of dollars, whatever. Cool. And then before he could get out of there, he gets arrested for breaking into a car. And he calls her, she gets him, and then takes him and puts him on a bus and sends him back. Now, she's from New York, but she grew up there. She's Puerto Rican and black. So when I see him, and you just came from Baltimore, that's crazy. We're about to go to Baltimore. Yeah. And he goes, oh, you gotta holler at my girl. So I said, you gotta put me in contact with her. So we go to the phone, put about $2 worth of quarters in the phone. He calls her. He introduces me to her. Her name is Mona. Ramonita is her real name, but they call her Mona. So he introduces me to her. I tell her my name is Steve, and I'll be coming down in a couple of days. She's like, yeah, come on, I got you. You know what I'm saying? I'll show you around, whatever. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Monroe and Edmondson, right? But when I say Monroe and Edmondson, she's hearing, like, I don't really know what Monroe and Edmondson is. There's Monroe and Emerson, and there's somewhere else in Emerson. Right? So we get down there. I tell everybody, don't bring IDs. Don't ask me why. Don't bring IDs. We get on the Amtrak. We go down to Baltimore. I bring 2 apes. I bring 250 grams of crack cooked up. We get there. We meet with her, and you know, she takes us. She has to get a hotel room. We out on Frankfurt Boulevard, which is like way east, and we don't have an idea of where anything is in proximity to anything else. Right, so we're far from the block, which is cool because it's safe and it's not likely anybody's going to try to follow you from It's clear across the other side of town. The people from the west don't go east. People from the east don't go west. They got a thing.
Are you guys strapped?
No.
You brought no guns.
Brought no guns.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't rely on guns.
No,
I didn't rely on
your
guns.
story.
Although I carried them, I didn't rely on them.
Your story is one of really an absence of violence. Like all the violence you experienced for the most part was in your childhood when you weren't even in the game. Yep. It was just witnessing what you saw around you. But when you were in the game, it was a tight ship.
That's right.
And really no violence.
That's right. That's right.
Anyways, go ahead.
So she has to get the hotel room for us because nobody has any ID. So we get the hotel room, we go in, we stash a few things, whatever, and then we say, okay, take us to this block. Now, she knows her way around the city really well because the guy who she has her son by, she has a daughter and a son. They're very young, like maybe 6 and 9, something like that. The guy's a cab driver. So she's ridden with him many times, and she knows all the neighborhoods. She's ridden in the car with him, and so she knows everything is. So we get in the car with her, and she takes us around, whatever. And we're trying to find Monroe. So she knows what Monroe is. That's on the east side. It's a vein that goes from like north, I guess, north to south. No, yeah, because east to west is this way, so it goes north to south, right? We ride around Monroe. And we come around the blocking in Monroe, down to Pulaski, back up this street, and back around. And I stop. I said, wait, hold on a second. What does that say right there? And she goes, I'm looking. It says EDMONDSON. That's Edmondson. This is what they're asking for. She goes, oh, Edmondson. I said, that's Edmondson. This is what I'm looking for. She said, oh.
There you go.
There you go. So we get out, I go and I sit around for a bit, and I see somebody, and I go, hey, I give you $100. Let me sit some of your house. $100? Yeah. This is sit some of it? Oh, okay. Sit the drugs in there.
Right.
I tell my guys, I look around. We're right on the corner of Edmondson, and we're right in the intersection. I go, you stand over there. You stand over there. You go down the block over there, right? And so now we have this crossways where it's like the transactions are going to happen here, but we've got view of everything coming from that direction, everything from that direction for a block, that direction for a block, that direction for a block. So by the time the police get here, we've got a block's warning. They shouldn't even see you,
right,
let alone catch you,
right?
And of course, this is all structural stuff from my own upbringing.
That's right.
So this is well-worn neural pathway, neuropathy in my mind. Like my mind is structured this way for this type of thing. So, and I'm loving it. I'm seeing alleys, alleys in the hood in New York like that. I mean, alleys.
No.
You have abandoned lots.
Right.
Alleys. These are structures that have streets between them that are not necessarily for cars. Car could come through, but this alleys, sneaking around.
Grass and,
you could sneak around in here and whatever. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
So we're out there for maybe a day. And one of the guys who came down, who carried it, was a guy named Dave. Dave was the brother of a girl named Donna that my cousin Ella used to deal with, Crego and them, whatever, guys, people from the neighborhood. He had just gotten off of drugs. He's, trying to get, that's why he wanted to get out of town. He's got himself off of crack or whatever. So he was a recovering addict. This is 89 now. Heroin in New York had all but vanished, right? So nobody's thinking heroin at all.
Right.
I'm standing on the corner of Pulaski and Monroe, and I'm looking across the street at a girl standing in front of the Underground, which is a club that Little Melvin had, but at this point, Little Melvin was in jail.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I'm watching her. She's got these big bangle gold earrings, fly girl,
right?
Gold chain, and she's wearing a custom Louis Vuitton jumper.
Wow.
She's got a Louis Vuitton bag. Light-skinned girl, long hair, whatever. And I can see her wavering back and forth. So I'm standing across the street, and I'm looking, I'm like, and Dave walks up and goes, "What's up, Bob? What you laughing at?" I said, "Hey, girl over there look like she on dope." There he goes. They're all on dope. And I was like, "What?" He said, "They're all on dope. Everybody here's on dope." I said, "What the f you talking about? Ain't no young black people using no goddamn dope in 1989.
Right.
He said, "Bob, they're all on dope."
Wow.
And then I thought about it, and I thought about what I'd been seeing all day. And when I put it into the context of this information, I was like, "Oh, they are on dope.
Wow.
What the f?" And I said, "Man, y'all got me out here selling cocaine, and my uncle's got a warehouse full of heroin."
Yeah. Wow. It was like that was your destiny. It
was so
the
weird,
heroin
bro.
prince,
So
and fate
weird.
has brought you back to it after a decade.
Weird, bro. So
what is it about black people? Why was heroin a big cultural thing in Baltimore and it's dead in New York? Like how can hot girls going to clubs be on heroin?
Because New York was always a decade ahead of any place south of Bergen County.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Once you get south of Bergen County, everybody talk like this. Everybody from down south, everybody talk like this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Everybody. It was the country. It was the country. DC, the country.
Right.
Trenton, New Jersey, the country.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was all country. Right.
So Baltimore just was living in New York of 1979.
No, 1974.
Right. So
like, seriously.
Dope fiends everywhere.
Dope fiends everywhere. Bus drivers are dope fiend. Cab drivers are dope fiend. The mailman's a dope fiend. Teachers are dope fiend.
Wow. So did you see this
Grandma's a dope fiend. Granddaughter's a dope fiend. But it was like weed.
Right.
Just like it was for bumping them generation.
Right.
It was like, weekend party, it's got a little, get a little chippy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was back to business after that.
There's no stigma around it.
Right. There was no stigma. So they didn't know, girls went to guy, and I heard a lot of young guys got caught up with taking them pills behind the same kind of concept. Oh, I wanted the dope. Because, you're on this heroin, and they could have sex for, more longer than they could not.
Right.
So attractive girls like that one.
Yeah.
Just like with Shameka and the young guys, Shameka, ultra attractive girl who is in the upper echelons of the underworld. Younger guys are influenced. They want to be attracted to her.
Yeah.
And, so she can influence them, whatever. And a lot of guys the same way in Baltimore, all these years later. Yeah. Right? So I said, okay, we got her to finish. So we can get out of here so I can go back and, go.
So did you feel like, oh, this is it. This is my chance to really get rich in the game?
I didn't think like that. This is it. This is my chance to really get rich. I know, this opportunity to get some money. Get some money here. I don't know. This is, how old are you?
38.
Okay. That's kind of an advent of your generation as a result of the hip hop influence through which my world got interpolated to you. Get rich. We think about getting rich. We don't really think about getting rich. This is life.
But surely you had an exit strategy. That's what I'm trying to figure out. You had no exit strategy.
No.
You thought because you'd never been arrested hardly.
No.
You were like,
and
I'm going to do this
nobody else
forever.
either. This is what we do.
Wow.
This is what we do. This is it. Wow. This is what we do. This is what we always going to do. This is it. Whatever else we do will be, fed from this. This is what we do.
Wow.
This is it.
So you thought you were going to be a dope dealer all of your working life?
Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. I was good at it. I had never done anything else.
Your mom had basically done it until she retired.
That's right. And I brought her back out of retirement in 86.
Right.
And she
was selling coke.
Yeah.
Right. You were serving your mom.
Right. So, and when she came back out of it, I learned more from her.
Right.
When she got active again, I learned more from her.
And now, okay, at this time in 89, Uncle Butch hadn't even gone down yet.
No. Yeah, that would be 6 years later.
Right. Okay. Right? So now you got the plug and you got the strip. So now we're going to bring these two things together. Let's bring it home.
All right. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I kind of made it already clear that I was begging them to give me coke back when I was in the shooting gallery.
Yeah.
Right? So every time I went to go get the package, like get on the bus, go up Lenox Avenue to 132nd Street to McDonald's right there. You know what I'm saying? Go inside the McDonald's, get my bag with my joints in it. That's what you call the quarters, the joints, whatever. And each time it was like, there's gonna be some coke in there. Each time, there'll be some coke. It's gonna be coke in it, and it was never in there. Right? They were highly resistant to it. Right? They'd like, don't get distracted. Just focus on this. This is what's that. It'll come back. Right? So now, here we are at 89. Now by 85 or so, a couple years, I think now there's a little more cocaine, focus or whatever, but heroin was still the mainstay. Yeah. So, but he's getting more coke. So when I initially start working with my uncle, I'm buying a couple of keys.
Right.
Because I'm going through it's 86. I'm going through a scare. Anybody who was around 86 will tell you it was one of the worst
droughts.
Bro, it was terrible. It was a terrible drought. So, I finally, I go to my uncle and I'm like, I need some coke. I got some coke, whatever. So I spend, I spent like, first I spent $19,000 with him. And then I spent like $38,000 with him. And then after that, it was like, hold your money here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so just, start rocking like that or whatever. And, I wasn't all gung-ho about getting involved with my family because of the stringentness of the structure. Like, my cousins were like in the military. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the demand on their time and their liberty was ridiculous. You could be at a movie theater or whatever, your girl, you get a page in the middle of the movie, you got to get up, leave her, put in a cab and go. And, obviously I'm hearing about this because they're complaining to me about it all the time. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I don't want to be bothered. And when I was younger, Bernard used to be like, yo, be careful of that. He's goddamn dangerous. I'm talking about my uncle.
Talking about Uncle Butch, yeah.
Right? And Bernard was kind of schizophrenic or whatever, so he's kind of crazy, brilliant, money making. Butch called him, King Midas. He's everything to touch and turn to gold. He's the one that innovated putting a stamp with a name on a dope bag.
Wow. Is that true?
Okay, that's true.
He's the first one in
He's
New York.
the one that innovated that.
Wow.
Put the stamp on the dope bag. Prior to him, it was your bag's color and the tape on it.
Right.
Yellow bag with green tape. White bag with red tape. Yellow bag with blue tape. Like that.
So what ended up being your stamp in Baltimore?
First and foremost, Hammer. Because MC Hammer was hot at the time. Right? Now, okay, so I felt that needed to be put in some kind of context. My resistance, their resistance, and then my resistance later, getting re-involved with them or whatever.
I see.
Right? Because they really controlled you.
Right.
So I was used to being my own agent.
A freelancer.
Right, freelance. Right. So, okay, now, I'm dealing with my uncle since this 86 where I need coke, whatever, I buy the coke from him. Here we are in 89 now, and I'm not touching heroin. He's still doing whatever. I'm not heroin because I'm in New York, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a coke dealer, So we go out there, this happens. Now, I'm like, yo, we're going to finish, come right back and rock out. But I leave one or two of my guys, right? When I get a certain amount of bread, I leave and, all right, y'all take care of the rest of it, whatever. And like some of the work was stash. And my partner, my childhood friend, who was a partner of mine in the Bronx at 149 initially before I got rid of him, Crazy E. Remember reading about Crazy E? Mm-hmm. And my son's mom, Cavario's mom, her nephew, Demetrius, who was out of Charlottesville, which is a place that I made a lot of money at because that was a place you could go and 125 grams you might make like, in Baltimore, 125 grams at the time might have got you, say, 5,000 or 6,000, maybe a little more. Charlottesville, it get you 30,000.
That's insane. Brick money.
Yes.
Of 125 grams.
Yes.
Nothing.
Yes.
Wow.
They were selling. It's like in Charlotte. Like it'd be like a tenth. You can make $120 off a gram.
Right.
You can sell a person a corner like that. I don't know what they were doing with that, but they were buying it. Wow. So I leave Crazy E and Demetrius there. These two decide that they're going to steal what's left and act like they don't know what happened. Right? So I leave E down there, and I bring the nephew back and you go about your business because I can't do anything to them. You know what I mean?
Right, of course.
Right. So, so now I focus back on because my spot in the Bronx is still popping. Yeah. That's my foundation. So I'm in that shit, man. I'm making I'm making $15,000 a day here.
So you said forget about Baltimore.
Forget about Baltimore.
Right.
Then another coke scare. It's a bad one. Right? Now, in between this time, this guy named Billy from the Bronx, Billy Guy, he approaches me at Elise's, which was a local eatery that a lot of hustlers went to in the Bronx on Morris Avenue between 164 and 165th. And I see him in there one day, whatever. Billy's a high-end kind of look at me, famous drug dealer kind of mindset guy. And so he's like, yo, man, I'm down here. I'm out of town. He was in D.C. at the time. I'm out of town. I'm getting his money with him. So I just need a strong connect, man. You know what I mean? And everybody wants to get with, like, we are the Lakers, you know, or the Bulls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Butch Cassidy crew, that's the top tier.
Yeah.
Classiest, strongest, you know what I mean, crew. So he's talking to me. He's trying to, you know, get me to give him inroads, whatever. But his style and so forth is like, bro, you talk too much and you do too much. You know what I mean? And if I bring you in, I'm responsible for you and what you do. Yeah. So there's nothing about how you do what you do that makes me want to do that. So LA, who is, you know, just the wild one in our, like, and they called me wild child, but he was like the problem kid in our family. So LA, of course, is like, I'll bring him in. And he brings him in. So, of course, but LA's not a manager, or like, you know, he's not reliable. He's not responsible. You know, he's spoiled. We all spoiled him, you know. So he's not responsible. Not for any extended period of time. You know, he might go good for a couple of weeks, a few weeks, and then it's up time, right? So I inherit Billy. So Billy's in Baltimore on the east side, 22nd and a half in Barclay. It's a street. So I got to go see him and pick up. Now, this is 90 now. And I go out there, whatever, and I go see him, and he's got this whole show he got going on. Really ridiculous behavior. And, you know, we're leaving the spot, and we're in this convertible BMW or whatever, and he, you know, he's like, yo, man, you need to come out here, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll put you onto a block, you know. Now, he had Monroe and Fayette, he had Hollins and, what was it? The corner. So he had, he had the corner long before Ed and came. And he had that first before he went to 21st and a half in Barclay, 22nd and a half in Barclay. So he was telling me, yo, I got this block. You can go that block. It's over back on the west side, right? Monroe and Fayette. So I was like, yeah, you know, whatever. I've done the Baltimore shit, whatever. I'm not really all that impressed for it. Yo, Cavario, I'm telling you, you can kill that down here, man, you know, like that. So then it kind of gets kind of tight again with the cocaine. So then BC says to me one day, he said, man, it might be time to, because he's seeing now what Billy's doing, but he's not a fan of Billy's, right? And, you know, Billy gives him money, his big-ass bricks like this, and his name is written all down the sides of it, up the tops, across the tops and the bottoms. And, you know, B hates this. And it's like, yo, why is he doing this? So I asked him, I said, yo, bro, like, he wants to know why you keep writing your name all over the money. He said, I don't want my money to get mixed up with anybody else's money. I want to know what's coming from me and how I'm doing, whatever. I said, bro, he doesn't really see that money like that. You know what I mean? It comes, it goes where it needs to go. Then it goes somewhere else. He never sees it. Like, doesn't matter, but you need to stop it, right? So he's got a whole bunch of things going on that just don't fit with the way we do things, you know? So B's like, it might be time for you to try that Baltimore thing again. So if he says it's time for me to try the Baltimore thing again, it's time for me to try the Baltimore thing again, you know? Like, when I say I was a zealot, this was my religion, it was like the Christian Crusades, man. Right. You dig what I'm saying? So I go back out to Baltimore. And I take my man Carlos with me. I take a kid named Roy. He used to go to school with us when I was like in the 4th grade. Square kid, really. Who surprisingly Carlos was like, oh, yeah, it's my man Roy. I said, I know Roy since a kid. Like, Roy, he's a super square kid. This is kind of what's happening now. Kids like this are getting into it.
Squares. Right? Or good kids or whoever, you know, however you want to characterize it.
And, you know, and I take my lieutenant who'd been with me since like 86, TC. So we go down there.
Do you have the dope yet?
Yes. I take how much? I take like 200 bundles.
Okay. Right? And a bundle is 10 bags.
A bundle's 10 bags, $100 each bundle.
Got it.
Take like 200 bundles. And this is just for scouting. Right. It's just go around trying to find, you know, where we can set up or whatever. So, We go, we move it around. I send, you take so many, go that way, you take so many, go that way, you take so many, go that way, see what you find. So Roy, we were there for a few days. We tried a few different places, Golden, Pennsylvania. These are names and intersections that people who've been around for any period of time can tell you, like at a point, these places were phenomenal in terms of earning. So, we looking at these different places, and then one day, Roy says, yo, I found it. And it's Frederick and Calverton, right? So I go over there, I look around, okay, cool. Give out a few more samples, get some reads. People are like, yo, this is phenomenal. My God, this is incredible, right? And we do maybe 400 or 500 that day. Next day we do about 1,500. And the next day we finish. Come back, this was like a Thursday. Come back the following Monday with another 200, 250 bundles. And finish that like by Thursday. Go home, chill out. Monday morning, back on the train on that 620, get to Baltimore, hit the block. 250 bundles goes in like 48 hours. Wow. Shoot back, 500 bundles. Monday, Thursday, done. Shoot back, 800 bundles. Monday, Thursday, done.
That's 80,000 bags. No, 8,000 bags.
$80,000. 8,000 bags.
Right, 8,000 bags in 48 hours. Wow.
Then we start doing 500 bundles between the first, the fourth, then 500. Talking about 500 bundles a day.
Wow.
50,000.
50,000
a day.
Bags of heroin a day.
From Frederick and Calverton.
Yeah.
Because now, the lines are 50 and 60 people long. Oh. Calverton's a major thoroughfare. Frederick is a major thoroughfare. So we have to, and Calverton's like a side street. A little side street goes from like, let me see, from Hollins, Calverton, Frederick, Hollins, Baltimore Street, and then the next street, and it kind of like ends. So we have to shift the traffic into this little alley, those lovely alleys they had, and shift into this alley now, right? And this alley is between two buildings. And TC stand out there with a shotgun on his broad daylight, shotgun on his hip like this, like it's some type of a chain gang in rural, Louisiana. Like that, right? Yeah. You boys line up over there. Yeah. Let's not have a failure in communication. It's like it's going crazy. Right. And then the traffic gets so crazy that we have to like put it now into a street called Boyd Street. This is a street with several row houses on it, but it's not really a street. Like, sure, you can drive a car down it or whatever, but it's really an alley with homes on it. Yeah. Right. And now we're in Boyd Street, and just going crazy. Slow days is 25,000. So between the 4th and the 14th. 25, 30,000, then the 15th, 50,000. Yeah. For the next few days, 40, 50,000, 30,000, So
we're talking maybe like on an average month, 250,000 bags of heroin?
Yes.
Oh my God. You made how much that summer?
About 3 million.
You made it. Was Uncle Butch happy? Was Bush like...
But you got to realize something. We've been making and seeing millions of dollars for decades. It doesn't really mean anything. I know. It's just business.
But it's yours, though. See, in hindsight, do you see like...
But it doesn't really... It's not... I'm just working.
Right.
I'm just working. I'm just at my job. I'm just working. Yeah. I'm not thinking, I got more... You know what I mean? I've been spending money how I want to spend money since I was a little kid. Right. My attitude towards money was pretty ambivalent. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's here. I've never not had it, so I was like, I got money now, which is how a lot of my peers acted, which is why they acted the way they did. Right. But I'd always had it, so I didn't act different.
You acted like a rich kid.
Act like a rich
Money
kid.
Didn't mean anything to you because you didn't need to.
Didn't need to. So I just was just working and just doing what I was expected to do and carrying the mantle, you know.